My name is Selina Nkoile. I am 25 years old and I am among the first generation of girls to start going to school in that village you guys visited. That means the older generation than me, at least people who are in their 30s, they are all not educated. And it's a miracle that I got to go to school and all these other girls because it didn't used to happen. But when the school was brought to us by an NGO, then it was when it was built, it was also a miracle for the school to be built. But after it was built, it took a lot of efforts to have our dads bring us to school. And personally, I was 8 years old at that time and I was already booked for marriage. So after the NGO spoke with our parents, with our dads, because fathers are the key decision makers in my community and culture. After they spoke to them and persuaded them, then they brought us to school. And I still remember my day one in school, and I think I was the most excited human being on earth, and school was the best place. So the school you guys just visited, Naningoi, has been a home for me since 1999 when it started, and I'm among the first class of girls to complete primary school, and until now, we are still the best class to have performed in that whole school. We did so well, and we all were able to go to high school, and we were all above average during our end of primary school marks. In our culture, once a girl is born, they could be booked for marriage anytime before birth. So for me, it happened at 8. At least at that time, I was aware of what was happening around me. So there was this lady who came to our house. We offered her a cup of porridge, and later she just started putting this thing on me, and she was like blessing me and like now booking me for the son. So that's why I know that I was booked. Maybe I would not be married immediately after, but soon enough after I was ready to be married, then that man would marry me, or any other person that my dad decided, because it's our fathers who decide who to marry their daughters and negotiate bride price for them. We don't have months and years for us, the Maasai. It was even hard for us to trace our birthdays. But usually, once your parents feel like you're old enough, or like once they feel that they want to marry you off, then they cut you at any time. There's no specific age. That is during these times. But I remember growing up, women and like our parents would wait for a girl to grow and have her organs grow to show that she's a teenager. That's when she would be cut. But right now things are changing because we are having a very big challenge in our village of child marriage. We have many child brides, and so it means that this thing is it's becoming a big issue because they no longer wait for girls to grow so that they go through FGM. So they go through FGM as early as 12 and married off as soon as they go through FGM. Right after high school, my mom was like, now I think it's the right time for you to get married because there's no way I can afford your college fee. So just go and get married. And my dream was always to go to school, get a profession, and then go back and show girls in my village that, see, I can do this. I got the news that our school was almost closing down because now there were no more girls and there were only 50 girls left. And there was a directive from the Ministry of Education that any school that had less than 50 kids was to be closed down and turned into a vocational training. So that school was supposed to be closed down. So I knew that I had to do something, even if a little thing, but I knew that I had a role to play to save the school. So I resigned from my work and went back to the village and brought my fellow young people and educated young people from my village, people who are getting money because of education, people who are employed, people who education has made a difference in their lives. So I just called them and we discussed the situation. We also called parents and explained to them using our own examples and just telling them, look, we went to school, we are educated, we are empowered, we are helping our families. Can you give your children a chance to become like us too? And a lot of parents were agreeing with us, especially women. But the thing is, they were not bringing kids to school. They agree with us, and the situation is the same. So one last meeting, the parents decided, like we made an agreement with them, that we ourselves will go and pick the kids from the villages now that they were not doing their responsibility. And we made a deal. So when we got a car, the first day, we drove to 2 villages and brought around 45 girls. And then the next day we went, and by the end of that week we had almost 100 kids in school. So at least the school was safe by then, and it was not going to close down. We started having numbers of girls running away from home, coming to the school just to get an education. So since February 2017 until now, all these girls you've met, most of them are the ones who ran away themselves. Some ran away from very far, and some come really very late hours of the night so that nobody sees them and takes them back home. Some actually ran away from their husbands' homes and come to school. So it's been such a journey. I can't say I can say a difficult journey, but a really good journey, because they are running for a better life. And we've been also trying to speak with their parents and reconciling these girls with their parents. And a lot of parents are changing and becoming even agents of change to other parents, and just asking them to bring girls to school. The biggest challenge the school is facing right now is food, because there are girls who stay there the whole year. They can't go home, even though we have reconciled a lot of them with the parents. And also, another thing that's needed is security, to tighten security, because these are very, very vulnerable girls and they need to feel safe there. So we were thinking of doing a fence around the school, but of course the community is not that bad. But of course we had an incident where some parent came and stole her child that ran away a day before her marriage, and by the time we found her, she was already defiled, and it was such a sad story. So security and food, and also trying to start like improving the level of education, because with all these challenges and not having the best environment for learning, and not having counseling after very traumatizing experiences, then I think it all comes down and affects the level of education for the girls. So when we can improve these things, then I think they can start even excelling academically.